Whoa, it's Wulzy. Welcome today to a new idea I want to try out called subscriber styles, probably. Basically, to begin the video, I'll play a few level requests from my Google form in my Discord server, choosing the most interesting style from those, then making a part of a level in that style. For this one, so you get a better idea of how the videos would be, I've already chosen a level from the requests I did this Friday past. I'll run you through it right now. It's very colorful, it's white based with lots of rainbow colors. I like the repetition of the circles, and I want to try and turn this into a more mask focused level instead of, like simple modernistic like this. I'm going to be changing the song. I'm using Sky Blue by Zulu75. He now goes by the name of Zorbarax on Newgrounds. Go check him out. I'll link him in the description. I'm going to be using the 11-second start offset right here. So it cuts straight into the action. So the reason I chose this level to start this series off is because I thought I could provide a lot of insight on how to improve it. We're going to start off by adding group 1 to our alpha trigger that sets everything to 0 opacity. So we're starting off with a massive slope at the beginning and a show trigger right after we've hidden everything, just so you kind of float into the level right there. Another thing that I should note is that I'm not going to be following the original level too closely, otherwise I would just be remaking the exact same thing. I want to kind of expand the horizons on it a little bit. Just make it a bit more interesting to watch, I'm making a lot of my structures into pillars and kind of carrying this little block on top, as you can see. Also adding structures along the top in the open areas. So here we've got our full gameplay and structuring done so far. You can see it's filling the whole screen at all times, which is important because I'm not going to be adding any saws to this level. With the aesthetic that I want to create, it's not going to be convenient. We're going to change our background to the plain background, add a new color channel that copies the color of said background. Then we're going to copy paste this giant strip all across the level on that color. We're going to set all of this to B2 and we're going to say 1 just because it's a nice number to remember. Don't fade and don't enter. This is quite important because in the original there was some cracked block transitions on the left and right of the screen. And we're going to cut out shapes of the blocks right here. Alright, I've made all of my shapes. Apart from the slope objects, I'm just going to select the whole blocks here. As you can see, I'll fill them in with slope blocks in a second. I could just delete these objects, but to save myself some time in case I want to change it in the future, I'm just going to set it to group 1, which I set to invisible, and just put it on a different editor layer, put it away. Then all I have to do is copy the values of this square, find the slope object like so, flip it, paste the state and the color, and then put it into place like that. So we have all of our outlines done. If I now use select filter by selecting the custom delete and having this checked in the editor, I can select all the blocks, set them to 1. So say if the background and the mask were different colors, you'd be able to see the blocks entirely, which is important because we're going to be making a background that passes through all of this points in a second. So like the original, we're going to set this to white by typing FFFF in this hex color extension mod. I know, kind of cheating, but with these quarter circle objects on the chain tab, we're going to make a circle like so. Then we're going to scale up to 2 times, so we have a decently large circle that's going to pass underneath everything. Set this to a new group, which is going to move, and anything below B2 and -1. I'm going to put B3 and 1, because that's also nice and easy to remember. Now I'm going to use color channel 3 here, which is black. Copy paste it, scale it down to about 1.9, so you can see the outline already. We're going to move that to a different editor layer. We're also going to increase the Z order by 1, so it shows up on top of that black base. Then we're going to set this to color channel 1, which I've set up as a pale red. So you'll see it's like a little red circle, like in the original level. On B3 and -1, so behind all of that, I'm going to get creative and add a little drop shadow. Using color channel 3 again, which is black, on a new group, which I'm going to add to group 3. Nice and easy to remember. Because the group and the color are sharing 3, which I'm going to put on an alpha trigger. 50% opacity right at the beginning, and we're gonna drop this a little bit down there. So this is gonna have a little drop shadow behind it. Okay, so now hopefully when I'm looking at it, you can see how the mask is working and covering up the edges of the blocks. I don't want to use scale hacks, so I'm gonna have to use the good old square rotation method in order to make myself a circle right now, just by rotating the same group of squares over and over again until it makes a circle pattern. That's enough for me. That's gonna be our black base, so color channel 3, B3, and 1. Then there's going to be a thicker outline like this that I can just do the exact same thing with, and this is going to go on the red color channel, which is color channel 1. I've saved myself a couple of objects by just having a massive square in the center of this, otherwise the center block would have multiple objects laid on top of itself. So there we have our largest circle object. I could obviously make this a lot smoother. You can see it's kind of patchy around the edges, but I kind of want to save objects here. So my first idea was to layer these circles together, just like so. So the black outline does not show up above any of these circles. It just kind of conjoins like that, which could be pretty cool. So I might use that for one layer of this. All right, so for group 2, I've got a move trigger that locks it to the x-axis, so it will always move at the same speed as the player along the level. Then I'm going to give the little circles a new group 4, and the big ones, when I come to put that in, group 5. So group 4 is moving 500 on the x-axis to the left in 10 seconds. I'm going to copy that. For group 5, I'm going to change that to minus 250. So it's half the distance. So if I slow-mo it, you can see the effect happening just a little bit. I want to add more space that's visible, but not all the way. I'm going to be taking advantage of opacity to do this. So back off preview mode once again. I'm going to select areas that I want to make half opacity, which is mainly going to be the area behind some of the blocks that are floating in the air. They can get put on group 3 because that was our half opacity group from earlier. You can see that doing its thing a little bit right here. Then in a few block areas, I want to add 75% opacity objects, which will show the circles behind even more scarcely than the ones we just added underneath the floating blocks. That gets a new group 6, and that's the alpha trigger for it. Okay, so I'm taking a quick glance at this just to see if I need to tweak any opacities. I think I do. Just make those a bit more difficult to see through. I want these areas to be, there we go, that's much better. It's subtle. It's not showing too much. I like it. So now I'm going to take off link controls and add the rainbow aspect. I'm going to copy the small circles once again on editor layer 3 and 4, so the black and the colored base. Bring it to editor layer 8 on B4, and we're going to flip them both ways. The difference here when I've changed the editor layer is that you can see the black outlines between them. And I've just realized when I've brought them to editor layer 8, I can no longer select the colored bits on their own. God damn it. Okay, I've done a retake without changing the editor layers. I'm just going to move them all the way up here so I can differentiate between them. I'm going to start giving random hues to these objects. So hopefully this is showing the impact of HSV on these circles. I can have all of these linked to one color channel so that when I add the next color change that I'm planning to do, they will all change color at the same rate with only one trigger. Now I can put these back onto editor layer 8 and slide them back into place down here. Probably gonna scale these down though. It pops them out of place. Really? In that case then they're all gonna stay on the same scale, but I am gonna increase the number of them by quite a lot. These are all on group 7, which is moving minus 750. So you remember earlier we had the minus 250, we had the minus 500. Now this one's a step up from the rest on minus 750, that's why there's so many of them. So now we have a lot of different colored circles in the background, and I haven't even changed the colors of them yet. So I'm going to constantly change the color of color channel 1 just to showcase this. We're going to shift it around the color wheel with preview mode off because this gray line does not show on a white background. We can align these by their duration lines, so when one color trigger stops, the next one can start. So now these colors are constantly changing, and I think it looks really cool, honestly. Just look at it in the editor, man. That's... It's certainly something. Now I'm going to revert back to my old creating ways, which is with inverting pulses. Right on this beat, I'm going to half space it because I want a 0.1 fade in time. I need a little bit of time for that to sink in. I want the background to go to black. It's a weird choice, I know. But then along with that, I want to change the black color that we've got 3 to white by typing F. Let me just fix some of the fade times and I'll show you what it looks like. Hey, that looks sick. I've stopped it at the perfect point right here where you can see just the extent of that pulse. To top it all off, I want to pulse color channel 1 to its opposite hue all the way around, plus 180, which is its opposite color on the color wheel. So imagine you had a blue like that, it will be shifting all the way down to this yellow. I don't want to go too much further with this because I want to respect the open space that the creator had in their original level. I don't want to go too far into decorating this since the creator had a lot of open space in their original level. So I might just leave the spikes like this as they are on B1 and adding some giant background copy and glow around them just to keep them separate from everything else. My reasoning is that you can see the variety of colors that these spikes are overlapping. Like these blocks have no mask on, but then these blocks have quite a lot of masking, so there's variation there. I want to keep that pretty leveled with some glow like that. I think it looks fine. I'm also just copying a few around in open spaces just to make it feel a bit more connected in with the level. Then I'm going to extend this strip into the wall, and I'll show you how. So I've selected 6 objects right here. We're going to copy paste. We're going to add a new group 8. We're going to copy paste again and add a new group 9. Group 8 is going to move 60 blocks to the right in 0 seconds, followed by another one for group 9, so that when I press play and start stop, there will be blocks extending all the way out, but the editor doesn't think that, so the level actually ends here. On T3, I'm also going to add a massive white screen over everything, which I'm going to use to fade the level on and off. This can go on don't fade, don't enter, and it's also going to go on group 2 so that it locks with the x-axis. A few blocks into the level, group 10 is going to fade off to 0 opacity. Then as the level ends, it's also going to fade back on to full opacity in about 1.5 seconds. At the end, I'm just going to add a little Easter egg that fades the whole level to black in 1,000 seconds, which is like 15 minutes or something, I don't know. So this is SS1, standing for Subscriber Style 1. We're using the song Sky Blue by Zorbarax. We've got the clean intro with the fade in, the white background, the rainbow circles, the inverting pulse, and the clean ending right there. I really like it. I'm very glad I made this series because this was a blast to record. Let me know if you enjoy. If you do, I will make a bunch more of these because it fuses level requests and building videos. Remember, in the future, I will be playing a couple of level requests at the beginning. I just happened to have already chosen this one by the time I got around to recording the video. But yeah, thank you for watching this Geometry Dash building challenge video. I guess you can call it a building challenge. I don't know. As I always say, I hope you've learned something. Check the links in the description, leave a like and subscribe, and have a good day.